Over the past 6 months, the AI design space has absolutely exploded, and suddenly there are a dozen new tools that promise to turn a prompt into a full product screen in seconds. I'm Josh, and I experiment with AI tools every day across real projects. Some are built for developers, some for non-designers, and a few actually try to make designers faster without getting in their way. In this video, I'm comparing 5 tools I actually use to see which one gets you from prompt to usable screen the fastest. Base 44, VO, Figma, Make, Lovable, and UX Pilot. Because if you're building a product or validating an idea, speed matters. The faster you can get something on screen, the faster you can iterate, test, and move forward. So let's see which one actually helps you do that. Before we jump into the comparison, I want to talk about something that always comes up when reviewing these tools: the whole speed versus quality debate. You'll often see comments like, if the output is low quality, who cares if it's fast? And that's a fair question, but honestly, it's based on a false assumption that design is about getting something perfect from the very first try. In reality, design is iterative. It goes from research to concept to prototype to feedback to another round and another. Quality isn't a single event. It's a compound effect that grows with every iteration. That's why I think we should care about speed, because the sooner you have a usable version on screen, the sooner you can start making the decisions that shape quality. And that's what separates tools that feel like assistants from tools that just generate layouts. With that in mind, let's meet our contenders. Let's start with Base 44. Base 44 is a no-code platform that lets you build full web or mobile apps just by describing what you want in plain English. It was launched in early 2025 by an Israeli startup, and later that year it was acquired by Wix. The tool uses AI to generate everything, front end and back end. You tell it what you need, and it generates the structure. It's popular among founders who want to validate an MVP. Next up is VO from Vercel, the team behind Next.js. VO lets you describe an interface in plain text, and it turns that into real React components, already styled with Tailwind and ShadCN. You can tweak what it builds, copy the code, and plug it straight into your project. It's great for developers who want to move fast, but also for designers who want to see their ideas live without waiting on engineering. It connects with Figma if you want to bring in your designs. It's been growing fast since 2024 and keeps getting smarter with every update. Next, we've got Figma Make. Figma announced it back in June 2024 at their Config conference, and by July 2025, it became available for everyone. It turns your designs into interactive prototypes using real data and responsive layouts. It's built for designers who already live in Figma and want to speed up that first part of the process. Then there's Lovable, a Swedish platform that launched its first commercial version in November 2025. You can design, build, host, and manage your app all in one place. In 2025, they rolled out a 2.0 update with real-time collaboration and better security controls, which made it much more practical for small teams. And finally, we've got UX Pilot. It was launched at the end of 2024, and it's built specifically for designers working on Figma to speed up how they move from an idea to a finished screen. Its standout feature is called Blitz Mode, which can generate full wireframes or high-fidelity screens more than 10 times faster than competing tools. What's interesting is that the output isn't just fast, it's actually well-structured and easy to refine. You still have full control over visuals and layout, but you skip a lot of the repetitive setup work. Alright, now that we've met all the contenders, let's set up a fair test. We're going to give each tool the exact same prompt and see how long it takes to get to a usable screen, something you could actually show to a client or start iterating on. The prompt is simple and realistic. Create a pricing page with a 3-tier comparative table for a SaaS product. I picked this because every startup, every product ends up needing some version of this screen, and it's a great test of structure, layout, and visual hierarchy. For each tool, I'll hit generate, start a timer, and stop it as soon as we have a complete design on screen that's ready to refine. Everything's recorded live, no cuts, no do-overs. In the final edit, I'll just fast forward through the waiting parts so you don't have to sit through the loading time, but the timers will stay visible the whole way. So this is Base 44. I'll paste in the prompt here and hit enter now. It starts by outlining the plan step by step, then jumps into generating the code. Okay, there it is. Timer stopped, about 1 minute, 50 seconds. We've got a full page with pricing tiers and buttons. Looks pretty polished, well structured, nice styling overall. Okay, now let's move on to VO by Vercel. Same prompt. Okay, and hitting enter. Okay, and you can see it's outlining the plan step by step, and then jumps into generating the code. Timer stopped, that is 1 minute and 14 seconds. And there we go. Complete structure. 3 tiers, pricing text in place. Structurally, it looks good, but the result feels more like a component than a full pricing page. Styling-wise, it's more minimalist than Base 44, less content, leaning more toward prototyping than high-fidelity design. Okay, next up, Figma Make. Same prompt, starting the timer now. Okay, unlike the others, the assistant doesn't say anything or explain what it's doing, it just gets straight to work. And done! Not bad. 1 minute and 10 seconds. The result is a complete page, but with almost no styling. Which makes sense, since the idea is to refine it later in Figma design. It's clearly aimed at designers. I wouldn't recommend it to non-designers, since they probably won't get to the level of fidelity they need. Alright, let's test Lovable. Prompt pasted, and hitting generate. Go. Okay, so the assistant announces which features it's going to use and what design style it's going for, and then it gets to work. And we're done. So the timer says 1 minute and 32 seconds. The result feels pretty similar to Versal. It leans more toward a single component than a full page. There's minimal content, and the styling's quite basic. Right, finally, we're here. UX Pilot. Same prompt with Blitz mode on. Hitting generate, and wow, 10 seconds in, and it's done. I don't even need to fast forward this one. That is seriously impressive. The result is a full page, well structured, nicely styled, and with all the content in place. Really high fidelity. Another thing that stands out with UX Pilot, beyond the speed, is how the result appears inside a canvas. The look and feel of the interface is super friendly for designers. It feels like a design tool, not a coding tool. It's a small detail, but I really like that. Okay, so these are the times. Base 44 was the slowest overall, clocking in at around 1 minute 50. Full page, well structured, nice styling. Lovable came in at about 1 minute 32. Minimalist styling. The result wasn't a full page, more like a standalone pricing table. VO finished in around 1 minute 14. Similar to Lovable, it leaned more toward a component than a complete page. Figma Make came next, close behind, at about 1 minute 10. The result was a full page, but with almost no styling, ready to be refined later in Figma. And finally, in first place, UX Pilot, running in Blitz mode, finished in just 10 seconds. The screen appeared almost instantly, with solid structure and styling already in place. What stood out was that it didn't feel like a rough draft. It looked ready to iterate on right from the first frame. Okay, now let's talk about what these time differences actually mean in practice. Because a few seconds on paper doesn't sound like much, but it compounds really fast once you start working with clients or teams. For founders and product managers, imagine a typical 30-minute stakeholder meeting. If your tool takes 2 minutes to generate something, you'll probably show 1 or 2 options. But if it takes 30 seconds, you can show 4 or even 5. That's twice as many ideas, twice as much feedback, and often fewer follow-up meetings just to get alignment. For solo designers or freelancers, that same effect can even be bigger. During a 1-hour discovery call, being able to explore 10 or more directions live with a client instead of 3 or 4 changes the entire dynamic. You can actually land on an approved direction on the call instead of spending days sending options back and forth. Agencies and dev shop leads benefit too. In sprint planning, speed means you can walk in with well-formed options, not just rough sketches. It leads to cleaner developer handoffs and fewer mid-sprint pivots, which is where real time and money are lost. And finally, for non-designers, marketers, operators, developers, every minute spent fiddling with the design tools is a minute away from your actual job. If you can get a usable screen in 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes, that can literally mean shipping something today instead of tomorrow. So yes, we are talking seconds here, but in a creative process, seconds multiply fast. So to wrap this up, the landscape of AI design tools is moving ridiculously fast. 6 months ago, half of these platforms didn't even exist, and in another 6 months, the picture will probably look completely different again. But in this specific speed test, UX Pilot's Blitz mode showed the fastest time to usable design, while still keeping the quality in check. So if you're curious, test them yourself. Most of them have free tiers or trials. The best tool is always the one that fits your process. But if you value iteration speed, this data gives you a good starting point. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, give it a like, maybe share it with a teammate, and let me know in the comments which tools you're experimenting with right now. See you in the next one.